G'day guys and welcome back to the Freo Faithful channel for 2026. Me and Noah are here today to discuss our best 23s heading into season 2026. These are just opinion pieces of who we think will play in the best Dockers team round one. You ready to rock and roll, Noah?
I am. Just before we started, this was like the first ever video we did on Freo Faithful essentially together. Our best 23s back in 2025. So I want to go through a few outlandish calls we had last year, which didn't really come through. You had Brandon Walker in there. You had Nathan O'Driscoll in there. We both had Josh Draper in there. You had Nat Fyfe. I didn't. We both had Sam Sturt. These names aren't going to be mentioned on today's video, I can imagine. Our team's changed a fair bit since then. So I'm very interested to hear how you think will shape up. Not how you think will shape up, but how you'd like to line up this year.
Let's get into it with the back six. You kick us off. Who have you got in your back six?
I think this is going to be the exact same, to be honest. I've gone Luke Ryan, back pocket. Alex Pearce, fullback. Brennan Cox, back pocket. And then halfback, Jordan Clark, Heath Chapman, Judd McPhee.
Yeah, literally the exact same.
Yeah.
I don't even need to go through mine. Happy days. Notable omissions from there. Well, not notable, but speaking to the depth, Josh Draper, Brandon Walker, players that haven't been able to get into the best 22. It'll be interesting to see what happens with Brandon Walker this year because he was a best 23 player for a while before some long-term injuries that he had to go through. So, well said.
And
Good
Omac as well.
We're on the same
McDonald
page.
played more footy than Draper in 2025. So I'm sure McDonald will still fill the void of Pearce, who will inevitably miss a few games.
He knows his place, I reckon, Omac.
No, he knows his place, but it's still notable. He played a fair bit of footy.
Ollie Murphy, another player, depth piece. We want to see him play, but he is not in the best 23.
Yeah, Ollie Murphy. I was at training a few weeks ago, and I made a post on the Instagram about 5 things that caught my eye. And Ollie Murphy genuinely looks like a player that can contribute at AFL level. Like, I never really watched him that closely, and I've been to training a lot since he's been at the club, and he's never a bloke that's really stood out to me, but he genuinely stood out. So I'm not sure if he was just having a good day on the track or whatever, but when he got drafted, he was considered like one of the best key backs in the draft class, and he's sort of just been left to rot at Peel. So I'm interested to see if he'll make a dent on the selection table.
Let's go to our on-ball midfielders now, straight into the guts. I've got Jackson in the ruck. That's why I want to play starting ruck with Brayshaw, Young and Sarong at his feet. Have you got the same?
No.
Go on then, what have you got?
You know the exact change I've made. It's Sean Darcy. Now, I've got Sean Darcy in the ruck because, and I can go into it a bit more once we get into our forward line because I've made Luke Jackson work there. To be honest, from what I've heard about Luke Jackson this preseason, he's been training as a full-time on-baller. As you said, this is what we want to happen, and I don't want Luke Jackson to be a full-time on-baller. I also don't want Luke Jackson to be a full-time forward. So I've struggled on where to put him. But my thoughts are that I still want Sean Darcy in this team because he's going to get a full preseason, and I think Sean Darcy with a full preseason is still very, very valuable to this team. In 2025, he was a bit all over the place with his injuries and stuff, and he wasn't at his best much. Even I don't think he was at his best once throughout 2025. So I think we will see that in 2026, and I still think he adds value to this team. And Strong, Brayshaw, and Young are pretty self-explanatory.
On the wings, I have Neil Erasmus, who had a pretty strong 2025, and Corey Wagner, who was a breakout player for us last year.
Exactly the same. Yeah. I mean, again, we've got Wags on the wing, but he can play anywhere. He's sort of our new James Aish, Mr. Fix-It. And he's definitely got the capabilities to play on the wing. And Neil Erasmus, some of those games he played as a defensive winger, like I know he wants to play more on ball and he will get those midfield minutes that he wants because he looked good in there towards the back end of the year. But I especially think back to that Port Adelaide game. He had about 10 intercepts playing as a winger and floating back. I loved his sort of game. And we've seen he can impact the scoreboard as well. So, yeah, I'm a big fan of Raz on the wing.
Yeah, one of my favourite games of Erasmus was the Bulldogs game late in the year when he kicked that check side goal, but he looked so comfortable in that midfield when he had Sarong and Young around him. So, Erasmus, barring injury, should have a great year. Let's go to the forward line. Who have you got lining up in our front six?
I have Shea Bolton at half forward, Josh Tracy centre half forward, Murphy Reid half forward, then Switkowski in the forward pocket alongside Pat Voss and Luke Jackson.
Wow, okay, so almost the exact same. I've got Reid, Tracy and Bolton, so the same half forward line. Got Switter forward pocket, Voss full forward. But I've got Michael Frederick in there.
Oh,
Michael Frederick is a player that has all the ability. He's displayed that in parts. If he can just play with a high level of confidence and do what he needs to get the best out of himself, I think he's such a good asset for us. He has work to do with his tackling, but I think offensively, he is a threat for the opposition. So for that reason, he starts for me.
I've got no problem with Freddie. He's on my bench, I'll say now. No problem with the selection. To be honest, it's all confidence for Michael Frederick. The talent has never been disputed with him. Absolutely never been disputed. Every time we criticise him, it's lack of application, lack of confidence, or just some brain phase like we saw in that final, as we bring up every video at this point. Talent's never an issue with Freddie. He is in the best 23, undebatably, when he's playing his best football, and I really hope he gets to that level in 2026.
Beautiful. So there we go. There is our starting teams. Let's go to the bench now. This is where it'll stir up some opinion. Who have you got on the bench?
I've got Carl Warner, who I assume you'd have. I've got Michael Frederick, who is in your forward pocket. I had trouble with the midfield rotations, so I've picked both of them. Matt Johnson, Jago O'Meara. I think they'll both play a role. And my last spot on the bench is an American.
Oh, you haven't left. Wait. Oh, you had Darcy in the ruck, didn't you?
Yeah.
All right.
I've got Mason Cox. I think I had Murphy Reed in my best 23 last year, and that was a bit outlandish at the time. I've gone even more out there this time with Mason Cox. It's not just to be different. I've just had a look at this team. Do I think Mason Cox, talent-wise, is in our best 23 players? No, he isn't. But I think with the no sub, with the extended bench, with Luke Jackson playing every other position but ruck, I think Mason Cox will fill a void both in that forward line and in the ruck. I don't think he'll play high game time, but I think he'll play a role in a 23.
Well, okay. I do not have the American Pie on my bench. Ours are quite different. So I've gone Carl Warner, Sean Darcy on the bench. I've gone Cooper Simpson because when he's played, he's looked that silky and good. I think you need players of that skill level. Just for the forward rotation, I've added Jai Amos. Reluctantly, he's the 23rd player. And then Jago O'Meara, who gives us a bit of experience. He plays that wing role to a decent level at times. But yeah, those are the last two players that I had on the team sheet, Jai Amos and Jago O'Meara. Don't know how much high-level footy Jago has yet. He was pretty disappointing in that final, and Jai Amos had a really disappointing season as well. So those are the two that, I probably hesitated to put on the team sheet. Miss out Matt Johnson from mine. Bit of a depth player, but his ball use was just agonising to watch at times. Bailey Banfield, I haven't got on my best 23. He'll come in and probably play 15 games or so.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Probably playing the ruck before Luke Jackson does. Nathan O'Driscoll misses the best 23 this year. Didn't play enough good football. Still hasn't really developed the ability to kick on his right foot, but we'll back him in to have a big year because we do want to see him do well.
Yeah, a few other notable misses. Brandon Walker in the back line, who we talked about before. I don't know why Brandon Walker's just sort of left our minds. I think it's probably because Carl Warner, who plays that sort of small lockdown role, has delivered more consistent football on an AFL level. And we haven't seen Brandon Walker since, was it round 2 last year? I think he got injured in the Sydney game last year. So we haven't seen him in a long time. Brandon Walker's still got talent. And I would not be surprised if he breaks into the 23 this year. But you would still consider him a notable miss. Jeremy Sharp, we haven't discussed. Now, Jeremy Sharp's not a bad footballer. He just went missing in stages throughout the middle of 2025, and he got rightfully dropped. We thought he was one of those guys that were just undroppable, and I think we mentioned on a podcast that one of us said that he couldn't be dropped, and he got dropped that week, and we hadn't seen him since. So, yeah, we're going to have to find something on that wing, because as you mentioned, O'Driscoll hasn't put together consistent enough football at AFL level, and I've been down and watched training a few times, as I mentioned, and O'Driscoll has... I don't want to give too much stick to him, but he's looked nowhere near it. And as you mentioned, he can't use his right foot still, which is something you learn at junior level. So yeah, that wing spot is going to be a really interesting one to fill. Adam Swade, our first round pick. I'm not going to have him in our best 23 because I don't know really where he fits and what position he'll play at AFL level. He can sort of play a variety of positions, probably too short to go straight into our midfield and probably doesn't have the talent yet. But he could maybe fill a high half forward void.
A player that we haven't discussed is Isaiah Dudley, who sort of brought us back into it in that final, kicking 2 big goals. He's just always going to be that depth small forward, isn't he? I think when he has the ball in his hands, he's a really highly talented player. But yeah, does he offer enough defensively? His height is obviously a bit of a limitation and a bit of an advantage when he's on the ball, but defensively, he's not the most physical presence, let's just put it that way. Like you were saying with Jeremy Sharp, Nathan O'Driscoll, they're just 2 confidence players as well. When they're on top of their game, it looks like they're gliding across the grass, and then at times they just look like headless roosters running around there. So, yeah, to see this list evolve and push for a flag, we are going to need to fill those voids. All them players are just going to need to stand up. Our back 6 is looking a bit old. I don't know if it's because these players have come in at a young age and just delivered for so long, but Luke Ryan, Alex Pearce, and Brennan Cox, I feel like have been there since the Subi days. They have been there since the Subi days. And yeah, we haven't really seen all that much of the reinforcements that are due to come in. Hugh Davies, seen a bit of Josh Draper. I haven't seen any of Ollie Murphy. So it'd be good to see them play some footy at times, but hopefully we can just keep this best 23 fit all the way through this year, and hopefully we won't need to see him. But yeah, it does beg the question, what does our best defensive back 6 look like when we do win the flag? Hopefully it's this year, but you never know.
I'd like to mention the premiership back 6 from last year was Ryan Lester, Darcy Gardner, Dane Zorko, Brandon Starcevich, Harris Andrews, and then Jasper Fletcher, the young outlier. So they had a really old back line, older than what we've got right now. And you could nearly say ours is better on paper. It's debatable, but on paper, I mean, paper and actual football are 2 very different things. And clearly Brisbane are better at football than us. But yeah, I think our back 6 still looks really good on paper. We're younger than that team. We've got no reason to stress. I think it's just very set. And when they're all fit, I think it's pretty self-explanatory who you pick back there.
Sam Sturt, could he be the guy that challenges Jai Amos, Aiden Riddle, Charlie Nichols, some other big boys? Those are probably the ones that are pushing selection that need to really show up, and we'll have a point to prove in 2026.
I don't think Riddle will really be anywhere near it. Sturt had that Rico late in last season, that knee Rico, so he'll be out for a fair portion of 2026. And Charlie Nichols is one I'm super bullish on. I think he's got a debut chance this year. He showed some really good football late in the year at Peel Thunder level, and some people who watch Peel Thunder a lot more adamantly than me have some very good things to say about old Charlie. So, I think he'll definitely push for selection this year. And a couple of other younger guys that we haven't mentioned. Toby Wan, he's really impressed me at training, and we've mentioned the dilemma we have on our hands on the wing. Toby Wan could be one that potentially fills that void. And then Tobin Murray, who's a mature age guy who's got a bit of mentorship from Sean Manor. Similar sort of players, both mature age, played for Geelong VFL. I'm not saying he's going to have a Sean Manor like impact, but he's played a full VFL senior season. He's got a bit of a bigger body, and he knows what it's like to play senior football, and he's played it at a high level in that Geelong VFL system. So I think Tobin will also push for selection, and that's sort of the route we went with in this draft. Guys that can impact straight away.
Players that often get picked up from country Geelong usually end up being guns, particularly at mature age. So hopefully Tobin Murray can be one of those stories. Toby Wan, I do want to see that pace, that left foot, and that impact in the front half of the ground. Some young, exciting players. It's crazy to think that Patrick Voss and Murphy Reid are the 2 easiest names to put on the page from the start of last year. 2 guys that, you probably were umming and ahhing about. Murphy Reid wasn't in my best 22 last year, but now they're 2 of the most loved players at the club.
Voss was in neither of ours. He was just like, would not pick Patrick Voss. And then he came in round 2 after Liam Reedy had one of the all-time performances in Geelong. And the rest was history. Liam Reedy, Fremantle legend, completely based on the fact that Patrick Voss became the best 23 player after that. Just quickly before we end, I don't have Jai Amos my best 23 because of... he will be in the round 1 team, can absolutely guarantee it. I just think versatility-wise and how that third sort of forward role shapes up, I think Luke Jackson can cover more ground if we need him to play a forward role, and I think he'll also play a lot of other roles, and that's why I've got Mason Cox on the bench to sort of fill a void and just clunk a few marks. Jai Amos will be in that team 100%. I just think as a unit, this is the 23 players I think we've got the best shot of winning a game with.
Yeah, Jai Amos has been a whipping boy for a long time, so it's about time you pull your finger out, Jai. Mature up and kick some snags consistently.
I said beforehand that I didn't have Brennan Cox in my team last year, and he went and had one of his all-time best seasons. So maybe it's just a kick up the arse to Jai to go and win a Coleman.
There we go. Get your best 23s in the comments below. Everyone's going to have a different opinion and different favourites and whipping boys at the club. So have your say down below. We'll be back with the podcast soon, and content will start coming out in the lead up to the 2026 season. Every day, we're one day closer to a flag. And appreciate you watching. Leave a like on the video, get in the comments, subscribe if you're new to the Freo Faithful community, and we'll see you in the next one.